Join us for this episode of Craftsmen of the Smokies as we visit with some of our many artisan craftsmen located here in Gatlinburg, where you can shop and visit and watch them at work. We encourage you to get out and find these interesting folks in their shops and studios throughout the Gatlinburg area. Touted as the largest group of independent artisan craftsmen in the country, the Great Smoky Arts and Crafts community of Gatlinburg is just waiting for you to come out and visit any day of the week. So let's take a look now and visit with some of these incredible people as they explain and demonstrate their talents on this episode of Craftsmen of the Smokies.
Hi, Chris Orbeck. I'm the owner of Zukes Woodworks, located down here at Glades Village.
And what is it that you do?
Variety of different items. We do signs dealing with wood burning. We make outdoor furniture dealing with benches, chairs out of cedar, along with your birdhouses and bat boxes. And then inside for home decor items, we make a vast variety of items, different cedar coat racks, clocks, bears. Over here we have some of the different variety signs we do. Over here we got a new item that we just started making, which is the outdoor bird feeder.
How does that work?
The bird feeder?
Yeah.
Oh, pretty much what I have is a saucer and a cup, mount it fast to the bracket, and just hang it outside.
Oh, they are. Birds like it? Have you talked to a bird?
I haven't talked to them yet. Here we have our recycled pallet towel holders.
Cool.
For the holidays, we have our Santa logs, 3 different sizes.
Checkerboard.
Tic-tac-toe board.
Oh, tic-tac-toe.
Gotta remember the kids.
Right on.
And here we have an assortment of 3 different crosses that we're doing right now. Over here we got one of our outdoor birdhouse stands. This is the double. We have single, double, and triples made out of cedar. There we have some of our clocks. Bottle cap holder. It's got the bottle opener and then the jar for collecting the bottle caps. And then down below that, we got the one with the 3 mason jars, which is a organizer for in the kitchen, bathroom. Our bear welcome sign.
All right, so here's the checkerboard.
Yeah.
What do you make that out of?
That is a piece of cedar. Solid piece of cedar, and then the checker pieces are little round circles, discs.
Mm-hmm. What's this thing here?
This is our three centerpiece log, 3 tea lights. Over here we have another 3-piece. Our wishing well.
Nice.
And over here we have our personalized outdoor name signs that we make. We do them with a person's name and their established year of when they got their residence.
How long does it take them to order that and get that?
We can do them in a 24-hour turnaround.
And then this is more elaborate house.
Another house, a little taller.
How many times do you notice the birds climbing those stairs?
Haven't noticed the birds climbing them.
Very nice.
Squirrels.
Squirrels. I'd say so.
Right now I am making for the just married 2017 signs. Get them for quick wedding gifts down here. We also do with the double heart personalized with names and their wedding dates if they so wish. And now that we got it done, I'll sand it off and I'll put a coat of cherry stain over it. And it will be complete.
Hello and welcome to Lorelei Candles here on the Glades in the Great Smoky Arts and Crafts community. Lorelei Candles was established in 1979. Yes, I started when I was very young. We make all our own candles. A lot of them are original designs that my husband sculpts, and we cast the mold and we can use that over and over again. So wax is a byproduct of oil, and it can be any kind of temperature. We use a very high melting temperature, which is 200 degrees. That way you can travel with the candles. We can ship them everywhere. They will burn, but they won't melt. One of our more popular candles is the original Gatlinburg trolley candle. Some of our other designs are my favorites, the woodwinks. It's a candle that looks like a tree with a face and has a personality, and when you light it, one eye is a marble and it'll wink at you. Each woodwink has a leaf that tells its name and its story. And everyone says, life is good, carry on. This happens to be old poplar. Looks a lot like my husband. Another line of candles we make are original pieces, and we call them the LPs. Some people think that stands for long people. This is a particular favorite of mine. It's the hiker bear. He comes with his backpack, and his little sign really says, don't feed the bears. But he's covering up the front where it says don't. Over the last 40 years, one of the most popular candles we have is the little mouse. We've made, thousands and thousands and thousands. In addition to our paraffin-based candles, we also do the nice soy candles. These are 100% soy, and we infuse the scent, so as it burns all the way from the top to the bottom, it's going to smell good all the time. We have lots of different scents. We do seasonal ones, like for the summer we do cut grass, and then we move into the fall where we have the bayberries and the warm apple pie, lots in between. When you come to Lorelei Candles, you're able to look around and see how we make the candles, and you can even dip your own candle. We make all different kinds of candles. We do the novelty candles, so we've got dogs, cats, frogs, bears. We do the LPs, so we have a lot of the tall candles. Some of those are Santas and snowmen and doctors and nurses and dentists. If you're wanting to come visit Lorelei Candles in the Great Smoky Arts and Crafts community, leaving downtown, you would turn onto Highway 321 at Light 3. Travel 3 miles and you'll come to Glades Road. Turn left, and we're just 7/10 of a mile on Glades Road. Come see us.
Hi, I'm Newman Smith. My wife Peggy and I have been in business in the Great Smoky Arts and Crafts community since 1979. I make handmade knives, been making knives since 1984, did some other things before that. I still do other things such as the silver work that we have and various and sundry unusual items. We do deal in lots of very unusual antiques from stranger parts of the world. I've always had a passion for the odd and the unusual, and that's one reason we do that besides the crafts that we've been doing. My primary focus is on high quality handmade folding knives. Folders take quite a bit longer to make than a fixed blade, but I enjoy the technical aspect and the working with close tolerances to within 1/1000th of an inch. Besides our folders that I make, I also do, and a good friend of mine does, some very fancy fixed blade knives. This particular piece has a carved African warthog handle on it. We do use mammoth, mastodon, and ancient walrus ivory primarily. Ivory that's 20,000 and more years old, dug up out of the Alaskan permafrost. Been bringing it down from there since 1979 or 1980. The blades on most all of our knives are hand-forged Damascus steel. We start out with bar stock from the mills. We don't use any, as you might say, junkyard steel. It's all brand new, so we know exactly the steel, the content of it, and how to work it, shape it, and harden it, and temper it correctly. We try to keep a good selection of knives in the shop. Sometimes our selection is not so good because they are very popular. We have pieces scattered all over the world. We primarily use 01 and 1095 for our Damascus. Fixed blades like this one all come with a nice handmade sheath. We also deal in some other pieces, German handmades, as well as just unusual and collectible knives from all over. This is a fairly unique knife. It has African springbuck for the handle material on it. I bring in lots of handle material or different African horns for handles. They make beautiful knife handles, and they're very unusual. You don't see them everywhere you go, but this is African springbuck with one of our hand-forged Damascus blades and nickel silver fittings. I also make some interesting little pieces called picks. Have a carved handle on them, a little Damascus blade in them, and fancy sheaths. This one has crocodile hide on the sheath. We do lots of unusual things. Our jewelry, we deal in antiques from different parts of the world, from Africa to Tibet. Have some real unusual Tibetan items. The silver work there, I do most of the silver. The stones we get from literally all over the world. And the carved pieces are done in ancient ivories again, mammoth, mastodon, and ancient walrus, as we use in some of our knives.
How much more of these ancient mastodons are available to you? I mean, aren't you using them up eventually?
Well, eventually they will be used up. The supply is, of course, a non-renewable resource. But apparently, at one time, 20,000 more years ago, as I say, in Alaska, there was a tremendous population because they still find the ivory. Part of it is from placer gold mining. Part of it is from the Eskimos that go out and dig in old village sites and dig up, because you have to realize in Alaska there were very few trees, and they used the mammoth tusks and bones just like the Native Americans of the time used wood. This end of the shop has a lot of different antique items from different parts of the world. I just got in a nice assortment of old Indonesian made baskets. Those are unique pieces, something you don't see everywhere you go.
And what's the story on these?
They are old. I would not call them real antiques, but they are very pretty, very usable pieces out of Indonesia. They do some beautiful weaving. These pieces can run from a few years old to well over 100 years old.
And do you know which ones are which, or is it just hard to know that too?
It is kind of hard to know which is which. Some of the pieces I can, they are easily identified as being very old. Some of them, they have been making the same thing for well over 100 years, so it's hard to say.
And how do you acquire these things?
I have an associate or fellow who is from Tibet, and he goes home usually 2 to 3 times a year and brings this kind of thing back, and I've got a good supply about what he brings in. Pieces that he used to bring in, he can no longer find, so it is something that it's a disappearing art form.
Yeah.
That is the real thing. That is an alligator skull. That is a skull from a little over a 14-foot long alligator. It was a big boy.
Yeah.
Those moccasins are very unusual. They are, the oldest pair is late 1800s. The 2 little newer looking pair are a little newer. They are 1920s. They are from the Midwest. The African skulls I bring in out of a game preserve in South Africa. They are what are called European mounts. Lots of folks like to collect them, and lots of interior designers use them as decorative pieces. And besides the African animals, we do deal in other African art, antique masks and so forth. I have lots of folks that come into the shop and they look around and they say, this looks like a museum. And I will always kind of laugh and say, yes, it looks kind of like a museum, but the biggest difference is most everything in here is for sale.
Yeah, of course.
One of the things that I deal in and have lots of collectors who buy them, and you can't find them everywhere you go, is skulls. Very unusual done pieces. This is a real unusual bronze piece. It has an articulated lower jaw, so he'll still open his mouth for you. But that is a beautiful example of some of the things we have in the human skull line. Carved wood ones, silver ones, brass and bronze, whatever I can come up with out of the estate sales and auctions and so forth. An entire 20,000-year-old or more tusk is expensive. It can be $300, $400, $500 a pound, and it can be up to 100 pounds and more. But they are very few and far between, as the saying goes.
Yes, yeah. And they're not making any more of them.
No.
What does Damascus mean?
Damascus is the forge welding together of 2 dissimilar carbon steels. It is an ancient art, started of all places in Damascus, Syria. It makes a blade that is, we feel, far superior to any single steel. It has an edge holding ability and a flexibility that nothing else has. The way we do our knives, we compact the edges of them. This gives them the excellent edge holding ability. And as most people, when they come in, if they're not familiar with it, the first thing they say is, oh, how pretty it is. And I always say, yes, it's pretty, but that's not the main reason behind it. The main reason is that it is such a high quality steel, will take and hold such a keen edge. And that's, after all, what a knife is for taking an edge and cutting.
So you really encourage people to use these blades?
Oh yes, no matter, every knife we do, no matter whether it is a very plain piece or a very fancy piece with gemstones in it, as we sometimes do, every knife we do is made to be used. It's not made as just a piece of art. It is always usable art.
Like as in cooking? And
we do some pieces that are suitable for kitchen cutlery, but our main focus is on high quality pocket knives and hunting and camping style knives.
This is just a sampling of our many artists and craftsmen located here in Gatlinburg throughout the Great Smoky Arts and Crafts community and the surrounding area. Hop in your car and take a drive out Highway 321 to this amazing area, featuring over 120 shops and studios located throughout the 8 Mile Loop Road. There's plenty of free parking, and there's several great restaurants. Make plans to include this into your visit here in the Great Smoky Mountains. You'll be glad you did. Join us next time as we visit with more of the Craftsmen of the Smokies.